everyone, and welcome to Third Wheel, the show where we discuss random things and decide who's the third wheel based off of their contribution to the conversation. We decide if their story is worthwhile and make fun of each other, mainly making fun of Brandon. Last week we had an interlude episode where we kind of just talked and decided that I was going to pick the topic out of a not it situation proposed by Brandon. I'm joined by Brandon and Grace. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going? Awesome.
Randall's just breathing heavily in the corner, waiting for his dog food.
We got Mr. Randall Roach. That would be fantastic. If only he emailed me back. That would be awesome.
That could be you, Randall. Could be you.
You could actually be breathing heavily on the podcast, but you know what? You didn't answer your email. Anyways, so since I was kind of just decided to pick the topic, I was just chosen to pick the topic. We're gonna talk about cheating or cheating the system. So outsmarting something, some kind of like test or whatever, or just flat out cheating and getting away with it, or even not getting away with it. Um, and the story that I have for this is a couple of years ago, like during the like the spike of the quarantine situation during COVID. I was playing for like a really good competitive soccer club, and the coach out of the blue was just like, "Hey, you guys need to run 3 miles in like 30 minutes. If you don't do this, or like submit the map my run of you doing this, then we're just gonna kind of kick you off the team." And I was like, "Okay, fuck." And after the first mile that I ran, I was kind of dying, and I looked at the time that I had, and I had ran like that mile in like 12 minutes, which isn't good because I was trying as hard as I could to run that fast, and a good mile pace or in like a slightly below average mile pace would have been like maybe 8 minutes. So I was really fucking slow, and I paused it, and I was just like, will this thing keep track of my distance? Because it seems to like, it knows where I am. It's gonna keep tracking my location. If I just like paused my run, walked maybe like a mile, and then started running again, would it keep track of the distance that I ran? And I mean, sure enough, it kept track of my distance. I paused it for like 15 minutes, walked maybe about half a mile, noticed that it kept track of it, and I was like, well, shit. And then I started running, and I obviously needed to make sure that it was like a believable time. I couldn't be like, oh yeah, I ran 3 miles in 12 minutes, 13 minutes, because that's like Olympic style. So I was just like, I need to make this believable. So I paused it, and I would run, and then I would pause it again and keep running, and I think I made it so that I ran like 3 miles in like 20 minutes, 18 minutes, and I was just like, haha, suck this, I did it, guys, and I submitted it, and they were just like, good job. Almost immediately after I submitted it, one of my closest friends showed his run of running 10 miles in about like an hour and 15 minutes, like almost a 7 minute split each mile. And I know that this guy's fit. He constantly works out. He constantly like shows great feats of endurance. And I was just like, well, fuck you. I was so upset about it because, I thought that I had made something that was achievable, like unachievable for me, achievable by kind of cheating the system, and then he showed me that you know he could just actually do it, and I had to live with that. I thought it was funny.
Did your coach actually check to make sure your results were valid during
Yeah.
actual?
Did he check for consistency across the board? Like, what if he was like, "Hey, Steven, I need you to run 3 miles right now"?
So he probably would have been greatly disappointed in the outcome of it. But yeah, we only had to do it once, which was really funny to me because it was like in the middle of quarantine that this was happening, and they were just like, "Yeah, do this." And show us the results to this, and we didn't actually have like a practice for like another few months after that. I think we actually had maybe one practice at a field near his house, which, we're all supposed to be in quarantine. You're not supposed to be out of your house, and like he lives in like northernish Reno, whatever. So like there are people who most likely would just be like a Karen and report us. And I think that's actually what happened because we only had one practice, and he made us all run a mile that day. But since I had other people to run with, I did fine. I think it was because of the fact that it was really hot and whatever, that I ran really poorly. But no, to answer your question, he didn't check for like consistency or anything. They were just like, "Oh, good job. I'm glad to see that you guys could do that."
Oh, well, he knows now.
Yeah, I don't think he listens.
Maybe like 10 years from now. if
We
he
can't
gets-
get our friends to listen to the podcast. What makes you think Steven's old coach is going to listen
Well,
to it?
I'm just saying, like, maybe 10 years from now, he'll decide to make a pastime of listening to podcasts, and he'll be like, "Oh, hey, this was one of my players for the soccer club. I'll listen to
Soccer
it."
club?
I
Anyway.
would love for that to be the case, honestly. Just
It's
for him to
actually
be.
really funny because I actually have a similar story. So I'm obviously not an athletic person at all. I did like every single sport and I sucked at it, so I gave up.
Fun.
Never really worked super hard to get better. Just got frustrated that I was bad, so I just stopped. So naturally, when high school rolled around and I only needed 2 semesters worth of PE, I was like, yeah, well, obviously I'm not doing that till the end. So fast forward to my junior year, the first semester, because I was juniors and seniors have the option of doing a semester of yoga. And so the first semester I did yoga, and then the second semester COVID hit. And so essentially, yeah, it was already a really lax PE class because, to quote my PE coach, he literally just said, like, he literally said there's a reason why juniors and seniors wait this long. I'm not gonna push you guys. But like we had done like the mile a couple of times, but it's not like we had to strive for like any point in time, or like we did the fucking the pacer test, the fitness gram pacer test. We did that. Never really compared it to anything else. Like everything he wrote down was just like, oh, you just got to try and top your personal best. Like we weren't graded on anything. He was just like, you gotta try really hard. But yeah, naturally, a few weeks into the semester, everything shut down because of COVID. And so naturally, not seeing this coming a million miles away, like all the PE classes kind of panicked. They're like, well, what do we do? Like, how do we plan this? So essentially, we were required to download this app called Google Fit. And essentially, it's kind of similar to yours, where it would like track like what we were doing and for how long. But I guess they didn't check out the app for like long enough because they didn't realize you could add an activity. Like you could either record it or you could add it. And so I'd literally be at my desk and hit add and then just say I walked for 30 minutes. I would just take a screenshot of that log and turn it in. And
Dang.
I never got questioned ever.
Dang.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Dang.
PE and fitness was really interesting during the pandemic. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. How about you, Brandon?
Well, okay, so this first story of mine takes place when I was but a young lad.
God damn it.
I
God
was,
fucking damn it.
I was 5 years old. 5, 6 was around when this story. Well, I guess multiple instances of this cheating occurred. But for context, I used to have a neighbor who was he was 100 years old. He actually ended up living until he was 102, I believe. His name was Ray, and he was a really cool guy. But like, so when I was around 5 or 6 or so, I would always kind of go over to his house every now and then. I would play dominoes with him, and every now and then, like when my cousin Dylan and my aunt them came down, like we'd all play dominoes together and stuff. And Ray thought he was being sneaky, but he essentially I inherited this cheating tactic from him, but I don't know if you're familiar with dominoes, but if whoever has like the highest like double-sided domino like goes first. So what he would do is that he would always insist on shuffling the dominoes. But what he would do is he would take note of where the double six domino piece was, and he would palm it in his hand and just keep his hand on it as he was shuffling, so that when it was time for everyone to pick out their domino pieces, he would go for that one, because even though they were flipped upside down, he knew where it was. So I picked this up from him, and needless to say, like, yeah, I got away with it the first few times, but yeah, I got caught really quick.
I'm sorry, did you try to do it in multiple games back to
Oh
back?
yeah, 100%.
Well, that's probably why you got caught, idiot.
Because, well, I mean, it's not like I couldn't really do anything when he was playing, because I mean, like, I would always let him shuffle and stuff. But when it was just like me and Dylan playing, or like just someone else in my family playing, I would always just insist on shuffling, and that's when they kind of started to figure. And yeah, well, every single time when I started out because I had a double six piece. They were like, "Oh, huh."
Interesting. For the fourth time in a row.
Yeah, for the fourth time in a row, you have a piece. I mean, I suspected you. Well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice.
And
Remind me to never play dominoes with you.
And to basically prevent myself from doing, like, I when I said I would shuffle, they're like, okay, pick up your hands and then pick like new places to shuffle. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna keep my hands right here. Like, no, you move your hands.
The fact that you freaking deny it when you could like literally look where your hand was and then just stare at that.
Yeah, it eventually came to me just kind of knowing the general area where the double six was, and just kind of going for it and picking all my pieces around that until they figured out I was doing that.
Oh my god.
I basically lost shuffling privileges at
You're
that point.
so sneaky.
So sneaky.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that happened.
What's really weird is I feel like I have more stories about people thinking I'm cheating when I'm not.
Well, I would love to hear that as well. Those are fantastic as well.
Yeah, but they're not on topic, so I'll talk about something else. So, now to the really interesting story. So, to this day, I don't know if this constitutes as cheating or not, but I guess technically it does.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to tell it. So, I had a boyfriend. That's right. This is about cheating on somebody.
Fantastic. Let's hear it.
Yes, there's this guy who we'll call Darren. And essentially, I got with Darren and all was well. And we lived about 30 minutes away from each other, and like neither of us knew how to drive. So it was also really hard to see each other often. 30 minutes without traffic too. So yeah, we met through mutual friends. So we went to different high schools, so we didn't see each other like at all, right? And the first 3 months, they're all right. We're chilling, we're vibing, but then a lot of like family drama happens, and I kind of fall into like this depressive state for borderline months after, and so it's kind of like we wouldn't talk for 3 months, and then we'll be like, oh, hey, hi, how you doing? And then like a quick catch up like with our freaking relative, and then another 3 months of like radio silence. And this went on for like almost a year, like 9-10 months.
Wow.
Yeah, until essentially I got feelings for someone else, right? Uh, Essentially, like I said, I was going through a really hard time. I was kind of self-isolating from, like, everybody, but he was my rock. He was my best friend, and so I kind of, absolutely caught feelings. And the weird thing is like almost nobody at my high school knew that I was dating this guy. They didn't know I was dating Darren. And honestly, I didn't really care if they knew. It was just nobody ever really asked me about that kind of stuff, but probably also because I never brought it up. But essentially, the guy I was into, I was like, I really want to make sure he doesn't know. Because at this point, I definitely had feelings for him, but like I was dumb and didn't recognize it. But yeah, I was like, obviously, I don't have feelings for this guy, but I don't want him to know that I'm dating someone else. And so, essentially, I kind of get to the point where it's like, I kind of realize I needed it to end with Darren, but the only time we were ever together was like in person, was in group settings. We played games on the weekends, like we did Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. And then like a Halloween party, and then all the way up until like Christmas stuff. Like this, like I kind of knew for like about 2 or 3 months I kind of wanted to end things, but there was never ever a right time, just because like I mean, I don't want to break up with him in front of like all of our friends, or like put a damper on like whatever like event we're doing, because there's usually like a very specific reason, whether it's like a birthday or like I said Halloween or whatever. So essentially, I'm talking to the guy, right? And I'm just kind of like, hey guy. And essentially it's like super super late at night around Christmas, and we just kind of like talk and text, and essentially we're just kind of like, hey, we like each other. And then it's like, wow, damn, crazy.
Wow.
Damn, that's crazy. And then essentially, we were both in different places. I was in LA seeing family. He was out of state seeing his family. And then essentially, we just kind of didn't really talk until like a few days later, where we were able to like FaceTime. And then we're like, hey, guy. Hey, buddy. And essentially, yeah, he confessed in person. And I was like,
What a chat.
ditto. I literally said the word ditto. I know. And I kind of cringe looking back, but I didn't really know what else to say at the time.
You said it perfectly.
It was like, okay, do you want to know how the exact like arrangement like went down?
Of course I do.
He was like, hey, I need you to know that like I love you, and I know we say I love you all the time, but I need you to know that like I mean it, and not in like a friend sense. And I was like, ditto. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But again, another couple days passed, and essentially we kissed, and I was like, okay. And then I kind of like, I call up Darren, and I'm like, well, I don't even call him up. I'm texting him. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? Like, it's been like another 3 months. It's time for, the monthly.
It's time for some casual conversation.
Yeah, literally. It's time for like the most bland chit chat you've ever had in your life. And I'm like, hey, buddy, I'm sad. And he's like, well, he's like, well, you can always talk to me about anything. Like, I love you and I'm going to be here for you. And I was like, yeah, see, that's the thing.
Oh no.
I get that you are, but I don't necessarily feel the same way, and I don't ever think we got to the point where I felt like I could confide in you, and I feel like it just progressively got worse over these last few months. And so I'm sorry, but I think we need to end it here. Over text too, because like
Yummy.
I don't know. I'm kind of an ass. I feel bad, but yeah, I was kind of an asshole and I ended it over text. But yeah, so I caught feelings and kissed somebody else while I was in a different relationship. But the reason I'm caught between like whether or not the technicality is yes, it was cheating because I was in another relationship, but the technicality comes in where we weren't talking for like months at a time. So does that really like constitute a relationship? You know?
So here's my thing is that one, this is so funny, and two, I think it all comes down to the fact that like it might not have been real to you. It depends on if it was real to him.
Yeah, no, it was
where...
definitely real to him, which is why I'm so like I'm not trying to like say it was nothing,
right?
Because like I like although for me it wasn't the same, but I know it definitely hit him hard when we broke up.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying technically isn't, because I guess it kind of like depends on like which aspect you're looking at.
Right.
We're never inviting Darren on the show because
well, I mean,
we were
he
friends.
emails me.
We were friends for years after. We were fine.
Oh, okay.
And then he blamed me for like him wanting to kill himself, and so I was like, okay, bye, buddy.
Oh, fun.
We are no longer on speaking terms.
Yeah,
so if you're hearing this, Darren, stop stalking me and get a life.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Also, I'm cheated on you, my bad.
I would say bottom line, you cheated. I would say no technicality. It's just that is the bottom line. That is what happened. Now and I only say that because what you broke the news to him maybe like what 4 or 5 months afterward, after like the confession happened with Guy.
No, that was literally the next day.
Oh, really?
Okay, so after I kissed him, I was like, okay, this is obviously something I want to pursue, and now it's real, and now I need to tell him. And then I told him like the next day.
Yeah, but wasn't it like 2 months prior to that you both had been?
No, I knew I was like unhappy and that like it wasn't really going to work, and so I kind of had a feeling I wanted to break up with him, but not because of the other guy.
Ah, okay. That definitely bodes well then. That makes the situation a lot better.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like it was me still figuring out my feelings and realizing like him being a part of the equation was making things more complicated than it was helping.
That's fair. Okay. Well then, yeah, that definitely is a lot better for the situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that there's no technically not to the situation, but like you did the right thing by almost doing it almost immediately after it happened.
The reason I didn't do it day of was because it was already like 12 at night, like 11. 12 at night.
Also, I would rather you message me the day after rather than right before. Like, it doesn't matter what time, but just to get the text directly after it happened, being like, "Oh, so by the way, I just kissed this guy." Like, it literally happened like 5 minutes ago. I think I would rather wait for the next morning, being like, "Oh yeah, sometime yesterday within the 24-hour period."
Though, is I think Darren kind of suspected it.
Well, I mean, after there's 3 months of silence, I'm sure he's not thinking you're just waiting for him to text you.
even before we got together, like he asked me genuinely, like between all of my guy friends, like who would I most likely like have feelings for, and I said it was between him and the other guy. And so he kind of knew, like at some point I might catch feelings.
Did he word it that way? Like,
essentially, because whenever I'm getting to know people, we play like awkward questions, and so you like essentially ask questions that like will make you uncomfortable or awkward. Because I think it's a great way to get to know somebody by like getting to like the root of the matter. And so yeah, he was like, out of like everybody, like who do you think you could see yourself in a relationship with? And
Was this as
they were like the
friends
only two
before?
people I could really imagine. So
Was this as when you guys were friends before you
yes,
were dating? Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay. I thought this was like relationship. He was just like, by the way. And I
yeah,
was
no,
just
no,
like,
no.
that's how you get hurt. That's how you hurt
Yeah, no,
yourself,
this was
bud.
before we were dating.
Okay, got that. Okay.
Yeah, so like I feel bad, but like
I think that
ultimately
you actually did everything that you should have
I
slash
try.
could have.
Yeah, like obviously I could have also just ended it sooner,
Yeah.
but it's like I feel like it was between like telling him in front of all of our friends or like just trying to wait longer for like a better moment that just never came along.
Yeah. And I think that like the idea of like not a good moment doesn't really exist because there's really no good moment to tell someone you don't want to be
I feel
in that
okay, but I feel
relationship.
like a big ass group of our friends right there is definitely not a good moment. Like
Yeah.
it's not like I was waiting for like him to fuck up and be like, okay, you're done.
He looked at me. We're done now.
Yeah, no, I was waiting for like a moment where like I could pull him off to the side and talk to him,
That's
and then
fair.
we could each go like our respective like own ways.
That is, yeah.
You know,
That's fair.
like I wasn't waiting for a perfect moment. I was waiting for a decent moment that never came up.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's
like I
fair.
said, I'm an asshole, and I fully like acknowledge it. It's just, you know, I feel like it was kind of over already, and he knew it was over too. Like he felt the huge division because 2/3 of our relationship we weren't even talking to each other.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
like
when there's the problem.
he also, I feel like he also knew it was over before it was like officially over. It was just kind of waiting for one of us to call it almost.
There's like this sliver bit of me that wonders if he thought everything was going fantastic. He just loved the fact that you weren't on your phone constantly.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's totally true. I don't know, but we'll never find out. 'Cause I'm not on speaking terms with him anymore. I mean, I don't know, Darren. You know who you are, but if you want to come on the podcast and like make your case, we're totally open to that.
I
We've
would
got two
love-
impartial judges.
I would love to be the judge. I would love to even just be a witness to this. I don't even have to be a part. Just sit back and just listen to things. That would be fantastic.
You know, like,
Speaking of, if you would like to be on the Third Wheel podcast,
a plug in.
yeah, plug in for our
The
own
plugin
podcast.
is unreal.
If you or a friend have a dispute that you would like us to talk about,
Oh my
And-
god.
please shoot us an email. We'd love to hear about it. We will give you our impartial view.
I would love to turn an episode into us settling a marital dispute. That would be so funny. Oh, I would love every bit of that so much. That would be
I
fantastic.
would love it if they would present evidence like it's a court case. If you're out there and someone like it could be yourself, could be a friend, could be a family member, like maybe if they were like me and they thought it was a gray area if you cheated, like I don't know, hit us up. We'll give you an unbiased opinion. I thought it was a lot more gray than that, but Steven said I'm a filthy cheater who's going to hell. So we'll see.
Just
I
an
love
internal conflict. Like, you know, one part of me thinks this way, but the other part of me, and I just don't know.
Yeah. So like I said, was cheating, but like from the extent I did everything possible to minimize damage
I
after.
just have one question. At what point did Guy find out that you were with someone when you kissed each other?
Like 2-3 months after we got together.
Oh, no.
Yeah. 'Cause the thing is like I totally forgot to tell him I was with somebody else. And so he felt like crap knowing
I'm
that he had
sure.
guessed when I was with somebody else. Because if he knew, he never would have done it.
I'm sure. Any guy who's worthwhile will feel like absolute shit because the underlining bro code exists no matter the piece of shit or reason that you left someone. Bro code still kind of
Yeah,
exists. So
I
yeah,
mean,
if you ain't a piece of shit, you would feel like
the
absolute shit
guy
afterward.
also knew Darren, not like super well. He knew him through me. So I think that made him feel a little worse that he actually
No.
knew him too.
It's personal.
But again, like, I also again told I told him this exact story too, and I was like, hey, this like it wasn't that deep. Which I don't know, but I was honest after the fact, and I was like, hey, I probably should have told you, but for whatever reason, my brain was like, don't tell him, don't do it, don't do it. You know?
Yeah, fair enough.
But so I wouldn't say like maybe it was like a month and a half. I think I was a little long. Like I told him, but it's not like I went out of my way to be like, hey, guess what?
1 year
Like,
later, so you know.
It kind of naturally came up.
Oh, okay.
Because the guy I'm currently dating now, that means I've dated 2, technically 3 guys before. The technicality there again, which is for another time. But I don't count my first ever boyfriend because we literally did not even really make it 24 hours. So I don't think that really
interesting.
Yeah.
I guess that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, exactly. But and then the first one, technically my second boyfriend was actually my current boyfriend's friend since what? I want to say elementary school.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
So yeah, I have a very interesting dating history. I just need to like stop dating people. I make it complicated.
Yeah, well, I can totally back you on that. My dating history isn't something that should be overlooked either. right there with you. Anyway.
Alrighty, but that's my very complicated maybe did, maybe didn't cheat story, which we have decided is cheating.
Yes. I mean, I don't know, Brandon. What's your take on it? Because I gave my piece. What's your 2 cents?
Full honesty, go ahead, bud.
Absolutely roast the shit out of
Roast me, yeah.
I guess yeah.
You're doing great.
If we're going like by the book, like if you did something with someone else while without while you were in a relationship, I guess yeah, that's book by the book like is cheating, but I guess it also is just kind of circumstantial, like what the circumstances were, like revolving around just. It's
really weird.
I guess just
yeah. But Brandon trying to say I'm a cheater without saying it outright. But the thing is I feel like we grow up and we're taught that cheating's bad. Cheating is like such a terrible thing. But I feel like it becomes more gray as we get older. It doesn't make it right, but it definitely becomes more gray, and there's a lot more aspects that go into it, you know?
I would agree that it's not black and white, but I would also argue that there's not too much gray area. There's specific circumstances in like your case to where I would constitute it as also not cheating because you said what, the day after is when you told him. So like it wasn't like you just kind of did a thing, didn't tell him, was like, oh, I should probably tell him because I'm not into this anymore, and then did something. So that's why I understand the technicality of a no. That it wasn't cheating.
Yeah, because I feel like cheating is more along the lines of like, because it wasn't like emotional either. Because like I just kind of caught feelings and then figured it out like pretty like instantaneously. Just kind of hit me, and I was like, oh, I'm fucking dumb. But it wasn't really emotional. And then once it happened, I ended it. It wasn't necessarily like I dragged it out or anything. If you or a loved one needs therapy, like I do, don't go to a psychiatrist. Please email us.
This
We'd
episode
love
is
to have
sponsored
you.
by BetterHelp.
I wish.
Oh my god. But yeah,
Hey,
I feel
if
like
you
that's
want
where,
to, though, like,
yeah.
Yeah, if you wanna hit us up.
That's where that gray area comes in, because it's just like, yeah, it was cheating, but also at the same time, you didn't wait long. It wasn't like you continued to
Like, I
pursue
didn't
the
even, like,
guy, so
the quote unquote cheating did not even last 24 hours, which is where the gray
exactly.
area comes
So
in. Because it
yeah.
wasn't gonna like hit him up like at 11:30 at night when it happened to be like, hey, bye.
Yeah, fair enough. By
I
the
just
way,
feel
everyone
bad because
listening,
it's
we
like
do
he was
not
a
like.
good guy. It's just my feelings changed, you know, and there was a lot of distance.
Yeah. Everyone
Anyway,
listening,
who else here's a filthy cheater?
we do not constitute cheating here. We're just only saying sometimes it's circumstantial. Follow your heart. Anyways.
but yeah,
Yeah, if you're gonna follow your heart, you need to be honest about it too. Like,
Yeah.
if you have feelings for someone else, you gotta be honest. None of
You
that
have to
I'm
say
in love
the
with
truth.
two people shit. You're either polyamorous from the beginning or get the fuck out.
yeah.
Anyways. So to
Else
step
has a good
away. Well, to step away, because I've never done anything remotely close in a situation. I'm very loyal, very faithful. Not saying that you aren't, Grace.
Thanks.
It's just to a fault.
Apparently not.
To a fault, I'm just incredibly cautious. But I'm also probably the simpiest person you guys will ever meet. So I
Yeah,
don't do any
no.
action anywhere close to something
made
like that.
very obvious.
I know, right? But so I don't have any stories related to that as far as the action that I've committed. I have stories where that's been committed to me, but we have a relationship topic episode that is coming up apparently, because we need to figure out about that 24-hour
I've only been in
24-hour
one
thing.
relationship, so what is
Shut
that?
up, Brandon.
Good for you, buddy.
Good for you. I'm glad you're having such a happy and healthy life. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to Brandon's awesome domino story, because board game cheating is probably the funniest thing ever. And my favorite thing is whenever it's Monopoly and when we play with Dylan. So the guys and I all love to just kind of fuck around in Monopoly and see who can get away with stealing more money from the government than anyone else. And the first instance this happened, Dylan had no idea it happened and was just kind of concerned with the fact that we were able to just rank up our properties almost after like the fourth or fifth turn. We were all able to like have monopolies and buy hotels on them, and he was kind of like freaking out because we kept trading with each other and stealing shit from him. Like, we literally created a coup where we were just like, guys, we'll help each other get monopolies, we'll help each other afford hotels and everything else. Let's just drive Dylan to the ground, and once he can't afford to have anything and goes bankrupt, we just call it truce and end the game.
I think like most of your stories involving Dylan is just bullying him. Why do you still call him your friend?
Absolutely.
Hey, my friend Dylan, and starts straight up bullying him.
No, I call him one of the boys. It's different.
Bruh.
Being one of the boys means like you're my brother, and I will treat you like ass. Anyways, so yeah, that was like the first instance that it happened, and we thought it was so funny, but we didn't tell him obviously that Eric was just dealing us 500s underneath the table the whole time.
Oh my god.
Because much like Brandon, he insisted on being the banker. And so yeah, that happened, and then there was one time we played Monopoly where Dylan wasn't there, and I fell and became the brunt of everything. So it was Eric, Makez, Jake, and I. We were all at my house. We were all playing Monopoly, and originally Eric and I were just it was Makez and I. We were just like, hey, let's create a coup. Let's take down Eric because he will become a tyrant, and then we won't be able to afford anything. And he was just like, bet. But also before the game, Eric was just like, Makez, let's create a coup against Steven because he's gonna become a tyrant and take everything. So both of us went to Makez, and Makez was just like, I could create utter chaos by agreeing to both of these. And sure enough, dished us both 500s underneath the table the whole time. Meanwhile, Jake was just kind of chilling, and we were all just like, ah, no, Jake, it's fine. You don't have to pay this round. We just kind of let Jake live and roam around on the board. Eventually, I don't know how it ended up working, but eventually I was actually able to bankrupt both Makez and Eric, and it was just me and Jake. And this was one of the only games in which we were just like, you know what, let's see it to the end. And we play the free parking rule, where taxes,
Oh,
all
I
this other
love
stuff.
that.
If
I
you
love
land
the
on free parking, you get all of the tax, all of the different stuff. And towards the end of the game, we were just like, what if we included property buys, house buys, literally anything you spend
Oh my
money on
god.
just goes into the free parking space.
Oh,
And Jake and I were trying so desperately to do it. I think Jake actually bankrupted Eric, or Eric just gave all of his stuff to Jake, like you do, Grace, when you play
I did.
Monopoly. I
Okay, yeah.
think that's
So
what
viewers at
happened.
home, I'm very bad at Monopoly, and so once I start losing, I just kind of pick whoever's pissing me off less at the moment and give them all my stuff.
And typically, if we ever play Monopoly, it'll be Brandon, because I
And then
try
he'll
to get
still
all
lose.
properties. Brandon might end up losing anyways. But yeah, so I had landed on free parking after like maybe 30 minutes of this standoff with Jake,
Oh my
who had
god.
just gotten all of the money and stuff from Eric. So Jake and I were well off, but I had just landed on free parking that had close to like maybe 10 grand in it from all this stuff, because no
Oh my
one had
god.
landed on it the whole game. And Eric immediately, once I land on it, was like, I'll count this for you. Grabbed all of the free parking money off the table and began to count it. Meanwhile, I knew he did something, because he immediately put it in his wallet and just like set it on the table, and I was just like, can I have my money? And he was just like, oh yeah, the bank has to process this money first. and then like maybe 3 turns of Jake and I playing go by, and Jake is, you know, accumulating money because Makez has turned against me, and Eric is the bank and has been dishing him money under the table. I'm aware of this fact, but I had accumulated enough money to where it didn't bother me at first. After a while, I was like, okay, Eric, I need you to give me my free parking money because I need to buy houses. And he was like, okay, sure. Grabbed it out of his wallet, gave me money, whatever. And like, he gave me a lot of money. Like I said, there was about 10 grand worth of money in there. And I didn't count it because I didn't know how much money was in there to know how much I needed to count. So he had taken maybe like 2 grand out of it and gave that to me, and then gave the rest of it to Jake. And the
Bruh.
next 2
Oh.
turns, he had houses on every property that he owned, buildings everywhere, and I was just like, oh, oh, okay. I ended up losing that game because I think he owned like Boardwalk or whatever. But then was just
Bank
like, okay,
processing.
so Eric, how much money did you actually give to Jake? And he was just like, oh, I only gave you like maybe 10% of what was in free parking. And I was like, well, that fucking sucks. But yeah, we could never play Monopoly legitimately. Never once will we complete
Dude, I
like
would
an
love to
actual
play
game of
Dirty Monopoly.
Monopoly.
I would love to do that.
corruption. Just
Oh no,
It's literally just Monopoly.
Literally-
Corruption's everywhere.
literally black market Monopoly is the best form of Monopoly ever. If you are scheming against someone as a higher power just to bully them into like giving into a trade or something else, it's so funny. Like one of the things that we did with Dylan was that every single one of us wanted to acquire one of Dylan's properties from him in order to give, I think it was Eric at the time, a monopoly. And he turned down every single trade that Eric had proposed. And Eric does the thing that I do when I play Monopoly with you guys, to where I give you an incredible amount of money for just one property to see what your buying price is. Like I'll give you like $600 for the $100 property just to get the monopoly. He did that thing for quite some time, but even more like dramatic prices, and Dylan kept saying no. So all of us were just like, Dylan, you're the reason why we can't, have nice things, why small businesses die. And so we were just like, we're gonna put you at a chokehold. you're either gonna give into this trade or you're gonna go bankrupt, and we're gonna give the property to Eric.
Oh my god.
There's
Dang.
always one person that ends up. When we play with Dylan, it almost always ends up being Dylan, and almost always Jake just ends up watching and contributing to the fact that he just gets funded by everyone else and just
my
watches
God.
the chaos happen. But
Or
yeah,
Dylan, he
we
gets
will
like
never get an actual game of Monopoly going. It'll always be black market with money being handed out
I
underneath the
love
table. It's so fun. It's so great. It's
both Dominoes and Monopoly just haven't been fun for Dylan, I guess.
But Dylan was able to catch on to your cheating ways. He never catches on to the fact that we've dished out like $5,000 until we've already started buying things and it's too late. Literally, we've gotten so good at it. Like, there would be times when we would make a property deal and like shake hands in front of the table, and so like we would do it with Eric, and when I would be the banker, I would like tuck maybe $2,000 in my hand and just slip it to him in our handshake. He's like, not only did you spend $200 on this property, but I'm gonna give you 2,000% cash back. There you go. It's so fun. It's just, what can you get away with, and when will you be caught, and is it too late or not? It's fantastic. There's no better way to play Monopoly.
Dang.
What about you, Brandon?
well,
What other
okay.
cheating systems did you acquire?
Okay, so this story involves a group effort by my senior math class in high school. So, this is also a story that took place during kind of, I guess, COVID, but more not like the main quarantine era. It was more like when they were slowly kind of just, they had kind of pretty much let people start going back to school and stuff, just with, masks, whatever, just precautions. And I was in AP Calc, and basically it's a rough class, it's not fun. And I shared that thought with pretty much everyone else in my math class, but I specifically had a group of friends that I had been in a math class with them since like sophomore year, and I was in a physics class with them in like junior year. So like we had been kind of like a study group kind of thing, and we had the group chat and everything. Like, and yeah, we'd constantly complain, all that, whatever. You did stuff like that. So senior year, towards the end, since it was an AP course, we had the AP test at the end, and normally we didn't really have like. We weren't really supposed to be getting like a final for that class because the AP test was like the final, basically. And
Right, yeah.
And to prepare us for this AP test, our calc teacher gave us like 5, 7, just basically a lot of older AP tests to do within the span of a day or two. And it was just like each. And it was just very mentally it just was not, yeah. It took a toll. So basically what ended up happening is my math teacher was like, okay guys, so how you're not supposed to have like a final or whatever for this class? Well, I'm not going to give you a final. I'm just going to give you a cumulative test of what we've went over the years, and I'm going to grade it even though you have your AP test.
The words, "You want to know how I told you this would happen," in an AP class setting would make me piss myself. I would hate hearing those words, no matter what followed.
Oh no, it gets better too. And my teacher said, and because the AP test is coming up soon, and we don't really we need to spend these next few class periods preparing for that. I'm gonna need you guys to come in on a Saturday to take this test.
What?
And we're like, excuse me, like, and yeah, basically, I think that same weekend was like a Kairos weekend or whatever. It was basically like the senior like.
It's a Kairos is our school's equivalent of a senior retreat. It's like,
wow.
It's supposed to be like not necessarily a week, but a few days, like whatever. But because of COVID, essentially.
It was just that weekend. Right?
Yeah, it was just a weekend, and you didn't get to spend the night. Like, you would like spend the entire day there, go back home, and then come back again. So it was kind of a ruined experience.
So yeah, basically there's gonna be people on campus that weekend, which meant she would be able to get in her room. So she's like, "Yeah, no, I need you guys to come in on this Saturday." And so
it's illegal.
We're like, okay, well, this sucks. So the day comes and we get there and we're like, and she starts passing out the exams, and basically some of the friends that I had in our study group were like, hey, so what are the odds that we can make this a group test? Teacher's like, no, we really should be doing this by ourselves. And then it caught on really quickly. The whole class was like, no, we're making this a group test, okay? We're gonna make this a group test.
Teacher doesn't really have much say. If she's making you take a test you are not supposed to take and coming in on a Saturday to take it.
So
I feel like she gets no say, and that's why the class took over.
So the compromise that she made was, okay, we can make this like we just small groups basically. We just have like small groups working on the test together. So we get in our small groups. I get in my group with like my study group, and then like just everyone gets in their own small groups. She sits down, she passes out the test, and pretty much throughout that test, we had one designated person from each group just kind of like who are back to back with other people from a group, just kind of going like, hey, so did you guys get this on the way?
Big ass game of telephone.
Yeah, pretty much.
I would love for that one person to not hear the right answer, write down the wrong answer, and had gotten the backhand of the telephone game. Just heard it wrong and wrote down the wrong answers.
And I want to think that she knew what was going on because she wasn't stupid, but like I think she just kind of gave up and just So yeah, basically our whole class just kind of overthrew the final exams. Just were like, no, we're doing this together. we created a network of answers, basically. Just
fair enough.
Yeah.
I would have to say that like while we had similar aspects to like the end of my AP Calc year, because I didn't have to take a final. We were going to be graded based off of our AP Calc scores. We had some kind of like AP review cumulative thing that was our final, that acted like the final but wasn't the final. We didn't have to take it on like a Saturday though. She was available for a Saturday to help us study for it, but we didn't have to take it on a thing. Yeah. Wow, you really got the lower end of that. It sucks. Cry about it.
Yeah, so I mean, we did that, but then we still had to take the AP test afterwards. But at least we did all right on the final, on her quote unquote final, I guess.
That's fair.
Okay, I had a system that I used to cheat on tests in high school, specifically in my Spanish class, because for whatever reason, Spanish was not it. Like, I literally failed Spanish 2 times. I got put inside of our FCP program, which is essentially a slower paced class for Spanish, and then I failed again and had to take it over the summer. Like, Spanish is not something I'm good at. I'm not good at like conjugation and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't write it or speak it, but I can vaguely understand it when I see it written down or like spoken out loud.
Mm-hmm.
College has helped out a lot because my roommate speaks Spanish a lot around me. Essentially, I feel really bad because I loved my Spanish teacher. She was so kind. She was head of like the foreign language department. She did everything she could to like, help us. I was not good, didn't grasp the material. I struggled with studying, and I still do because of my crippling ADHD.
Amen.
So, essentially, I never did good. Like, the homework I could do, like, participation, because she required participation. So, that I could do. I could do, like, the journals, like, every single day, and the exercises. Like, I could do that, but the tests would be, like, what threw me off and screwed up my grade completely, right? So essentially, she was kind of really, really good at preventing cheating, right? Essentially, she would check our arms before every test, make us wipe down our desks, and she would only give us one page of the test at a time. So we
What?
started, yeah. So we
So you
started,
can't check it?
yeah, no, we started the test
Ah.
with a blank desk. So there's nothing to hide, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, challenge accepted. You think this would encourage me to study, but I was like, no, I got this.
Made you strive to cheat even.
So obviously each page was something else, like finding, like one would be like finding grammar issues in a paragraph, another one would be multiple choice, word fill in, etc. Like just different things. And that I could kind of do, like obviously I sucked, but like I could figure it out on my own, right? The big problem was the last page where you had to write a paragraph, 10 to 15 sentences completely in Spanish about one specific like topic, right? That
Yeah.
I was incapable of bullshitting. So I was like, I need to combat this somehow. I need to do something, right? And so I was like, okay. I don't even know how I thought of this, but essentially I was like, this is what I need to focus on. Everything else doesn't matter as much as this huge essay, paragraph. So I was like, I need to focus on this. And so what I would do is I would take a very small slip of paper. It was maybe half the size of an index card, not even. And she would also give us, which makes this worse, is she would literally give us study guides too. And she would tell us what the essay, she would tell us what the essay question was. The only thing that was the exact same thing on the test was she would give us the essay question at the end. That way we knew like what we were like studying and what we were studying to write down. So that was the only thing that was the same. So essentially, obviously, I'd Google Translate that shit. And I would write it down on this very small slip of paper. So essentially, I think it was binder paper too. Like it was very like thin and whatever. So I don't know what kind of desks you had in high school, Steven, but essentially the way ours worked is it was like those desks that you can like slip in through one side only, and they're kind of like metal and like piped and whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but essentially one side sticks out and like that's what's kind of holding up the desk part.
Yeah, I think we had the same desk.
Yes. So the pipe that was connected to like that wooden plate that like you actually use as a desk was not welded together.
Oh shit.
And so I would slide that piece of paper in between the pipe and the desk. My desk would be completely clear and I'd be like, I'm ready for this bullshit. And so she checked my arm, she checked my desk, I'd wipe my desk down. I was ready, like I was all good. Like I was in the middle of the class too, because I wasn't a distraction kid, so I didn't sit by her desk.
That's
right?
amazing.
And so she also knows I have ADHD, so I'm fiddling. I'm always looking around, like I'm always touching and tapping and whatever. So like obviously me moving around and fiddling too much isn't really that big of like a deal to her. So essentially, like, again, she'd give it to me page by page by page, and then the last one I'd slip it out and, like, move it underneath my hand on the desk. And I would just write it down word for word. And then at the end of the test, I would always yawn, slip the piece of paper into my mouth and eat it, and she'd never find it.
You ate the evidence?
I did. I would eat it. At the end of every test, I would eat a small slip of paper with the answers on it, so that way she could never find it.
Oh my
And
God,
even if she
that's
saw
so
me
funny.
chewing, she would assume it was gum, and I just spit it out. What's she gonna do?
Oh my
Like
God,
touch the
that's-
wet paper that's covered in my saliva?
That's so funny.
Oh,
Yeah. So essentially, I would eat the evidence.
well,
Well, who wants to go first? I'm
Uh,
not
Not
gonna
it.
say you, Brent. Not it.
wait, what? Wait, what? No, you can't do that on me. I
Yes,
can
we
tell.
can. Yes, we
That's the
can. You
point.
did it to me. You did it to me.
Okay, fine.
Fuck you.
Fine. Okay, fine. Well, so, I gotta say, I think contributions were good again. So I think I'm gonna base this decision just on, I don't know, how well stories related with one another, or just I don't know. So like, I mean, we all kind of had, similar, like, school test, whatever stuff, presentation.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Steven and I had the board game thing. You and Steven and Grace had the
Wait,
You,
physical.
Steven, and Grace.
Is there a fourth person here?
Steven Grace.
Here's Steven and Grace.
We're the fourth wheel
My sleep
podcast now.
paralysis demon's still under the bed, so I gotta include him, guys.
Jesus.
You is Randall.
I was talking,
Randall, is your sleep paralysis?
what I was saying was, Grace and Steven had the physical education. Well, I guess not physical education, but like just sports, like
Yeah.
Hey, I learned from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
so-
both had Spanish stories. We both had physical education stories. I cheated on someone. I'm definitely a winner. I guess that leaves you. That leaves you as the third wheel, Brandon.
Well, hold on. I'm not done making my thing. I was gonna say, by, I guess, a slight just difference. I guess, Grace, your story was just more, I guess, unique. I guess.
Which one?
Apart
That's fair.
That the cheating involved another human being directly. I guess.
Oh yeah, the freedom of cheating on somebody really seriously.
The cheating involved another human being.
I thought you were talking about the fact that I literally ate my evidence of cheating. I thought that's what you were referring to. It's me being a dick to somebody else that really put me over the top.
I thought that was funny too, but I like I said, it's by a slight amount, but I think I'm gonna have to go with that one.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm the third wheel?
Yeah.
I loved your stories, so fuck you.
I'm just saying, as far as like just
Okay.
more unique, I guess.
Totally, totally, Brand. Wait, yeah, you were so unique, so different. That makes you the third wheel.
To be completely honest, I totally thought you were gonna say that it was me. I'm right there with you, Grace. I thought that build-up led to me, and then he said no.
Yeah, dude, for real. What the fuck was that? You were like, yours were so creative, so funny. I really enjoyed them, so fuck you.
I can say Steven.
It's fine. No, it's fine. I'm voting for Brandon because Brandon was just really bad at it to the point where he didn't even understand that cheating needs to be done in moderation. So he was caught. I don't even remember the other story. What was it?
The Algebra 2 one. Not Algebra 2.
Yeah.
AP Calculus.
Again, I feel like it was very obvious. Your teacher probably knew. She just realized she was being like an ass. And so she just kind of gave up. And so I feel like those were pity. Those are pity cheats.
Well, Grace, I would like to say that I really enjoyed your stories. I thought they were fantastic.
Let me guess, you're voting me.
I love the uniqueness of them. No, I'm not gonna do that.
I'm voting even.
Well, see, the thing is that I really thought that it was gonna come down to Grace's vote between Brandon and I, much like the last episode, except in this case she wouldn't vote for herself because how could she when she's the only one here who actually cheated on a person?
Okay, but I feel bad. It's
no,
okay,
I know.
Conscience.
I know. That's why I'm saying that in this given situation regarding the topic, I felt like I couldn't possibly vote for you in any aspect. I feel like
I've cheated in every single aspect of my life, both academic and personal.
So that's why I thought it would come down to Brandon and I. But Brandon also said never mind and voted for Grace. But I have to agree with Grace, Brandon. I love the domino thing. You did it wrong. You cheated bad. You tried to do the same thing multiple times in a row and got caught.
I never got caught.
Yeah, no, Brandon, yeah, you got caught because you tried to do the same thing multiple times in a row, and then you all collectively decided that the teacher was an ass. She said you should. The way she worded it makes it seem like it wasn't really cheating to me, because she was like, you should really do this by yourself, kind of like the passive aggressive, no, except not telling you no. So yeah. I don't know. You might have cheated the system, but you definitely You
You
definitely
didn't cheat the
abused.
third wheel system.
You abused the first system that you learned. Your 102-year-old neighbor would be disappointed that that you sold him out. That you made it so easy to decide, figure out how you were getting that piece every single time.
Brandon could not cheat the third wheel system. So for that,
Absolutely
Brandon,
not.
you are today's third wheel.
Huh.
Are you gonna cry about it, or are you
I
gonna give
feel
a
like
speech
Brandon's
about
been
it?
our third wheel the most.
He probably has, honestly, and
We
like
should
that's not
probably
a
count it up at some point.
yeah.
I'm gonna
It's
come
not
up with
purposeful either, but it just ends up happening that way.
Yeah, we don't like actually bully him. It's just a joke that we bully him, but he actually ends up just being the third wheel a lot.
I'm gonna come up with another topic, and we're all gonna tie again, and it's just gonna be a loop of limbo or whatever.
Be a loop of interludes.
Every episode's just an interlude now. I'm just gonna keep tying because it would be funny.
Alrighty, we're already over time, but again, please make sure to send us an email if you want to be a guest. So far, we have a lead on someone who may or may not join us soon.
He's
So-
currently eating dog food somewhere.
Not Randall.
Who's to say
Randall's
that the other one
intern. He's
isn't
lost
eating
all
dog
privileges.
food? We've had to downgrade him to canned dog food.
What are you talking about? That is not a downgrade. That's an upgrade, bro.
It is because I have year expired dog food
Oh,
that he has
never
to
mind.
consume to get rid of. He's
Okay.
he's getting rid of that
Poor
expired
Randall.
canned dog food right now.
Anyway, so again, if you want to be a guest, we'd love to have you. And I know it was a joke earlier, but if you do have any disputes or anything like that, we would love to talk about it in a third-party fashion, as long as you don't mind us poking fun at you.
Oh, absolutely. Please, that would be so much fun. That would be a hoot and a half.
Particularly if you think you were a third wheel in a situation, that'd really put a cherry on top.
Because that's our
Relevant.
name, right? Get it?
Yeah, relevant.
Objection, hearsay.
But did you read that correctly? I want to know more about the muffins.
Anyway.
Oh.
Anyway, Brandon, would you like to do our outro?
If you do it the way you did last week, I'm oh.
Okay, you know.
Just do it.
Okay, guys. So I lost. I don't know. I guess that's fair. I'll come up with a topic for next week. And yeah. Goodbye.
Remember, there's nothing wrong with being the third wheel.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. I knew that.
Except for Brandon apparently having a seizure.